Hello. Oh my gosh, I'm a minute late. I'm so sorry. Okay, so it is 8:30. Have you guys seen my new face mask? How flipping amazing, right? See, how cool is this? Check this out. Right? Snazzy. If anybody wants one, let me know. I will hook you up. The girls at High Dye's made it, so it's tie-dye with my logo. I think it's freaking amazing. So if you're out there and you're joining me, give me a shout. If you're catching this on a replay, drop me a hashtag replay. Tonight is night 3 of our 5 Things to Let Go of series. And tonight we are talking all about living life to the expectations of others. Okay? So if you're out there and you're joining me, give me a shout. If you're catching this on a replay, let me know. Like I said, tonight is all about living life to the expectations of others. Give me a second to hop on. Hello, Jackie. You know you want one. Look at this. You can get one with Fudge's picture on it. How fun would that be, right? And I'm all like in a mood tonight, hence the crazy filter. And if you haven't seen my sweatshirt, so yes. We're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Because that is how I feel. A couple years ago, this filter and all this fun and this craziness would not have happened. So again, living life to the expectations of others. This is what happens when you let that go. All right. So again, if you're out there and you're joining me, give me a shout. I see Jackie. I see Mel. Who else has popped on? Oh, Sarah from Wild Sky Yoga was here. I don't know if she's still there. It's cool. Waving at everybody. Yay. Okay. So, should get one that says, I'm single and ready to mingle. Do it! And that's the best part. These girls are flipping awesome. It makes this stuff, I'm telling you, they can do anything. T-shirts, sweatshirts, socks. I mean, honestly, if there's something you want tie-dye that they don't have or can't get for you, send it to them and they'll do it. It's so cool. Yeah, I'm telling you, you can get your own one of a kind. Okay. So, if you are out there, again, if you're joining me, let me know. But that is my spiel on my high dyes girls. Now, in the meantime, like I said, tonight is night 3. Night 1, I talked about letting go of fear of failure. So what that can do to you mentally, physically, emotionally, what holding on to that feels like. I give you my personal examples, some great tools and strategies. Start using your list, your pros and cons, the reframing. Last night we intertwined in with the constant self-doubt topic, but tonight is all about living life to the expectations of others. Now let's get real, let's get honest. How many of us live life to the expectations of others? How many of us let what other people think of us or what we think they think of us or the judgment zone, societal standards? How many of you are living life to the expectations of others? And if you're saying you're not, I'm going to call BS, because even I, who has gotten a long way, still lets it happen now and then. It's all about how you approach it, and again, releasing that hold on you so that now you can be self-aware, you can reflect on it, and you can change it, okay? So living life to the expectations of others. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of ways this can come about. One of the most biggest living life to the expectations of others, and we're going to go way back in time here for a second, is our parents, okay? Our parents bring us into this world, and then they mold us into these little humans that most parents, unfortunately, do not allow us to be us. They want us to be a certain way, go to school for a certain thing. A lot of parents even try and live vicariously through their kids. How many of you have been on the receiving end of that? Yeah? Okay, so you're with me. So, I see, and you're laughing, but it's so true, I'm telling you, unless there's a little delay and it was something else I said earlier. But yeah, seriously though. Hello, oh, more people are getting on, fantastic. All right, so think about that. So that's the first thing. So now when I was younger, my parents were 2 different people, okay? Which is probably why they're not together anymore. So my dad, he is a retired police officer. He worked for Entenmann's for a long time. He's done everything from being a school crossing guard to working in a grocery store. You name it, he has done everything, okay? So he was always somebody that works a lot. And that was something he instilled in me, was a huge work ethic, okay? And I think that's super important to realize. And then you have someone like my mother, okay, who grew up in a household with 2 parents, her and her brother. was raised to be a certain way. And then my mother went to school, and hello, and she went to, she married my dad, and then she was a stay-at-home mom. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, a lot of people do that nowadays. And especially now with COVID, I think more people are getting back to that. But she was always very kind of strict in that way. She wanted you to do the homework and the things and the schooling. She wanted you to always and this is one thing she always said, and this was something that had always stuck with me. The one thing was, she always wanted us to be independent. She didn't want us to be dependent on a guy, because that was something she rode on with my dad, was that she was dependent on him because she was a stay-at-home mom and she didn't work, that she relied on my dad to provide for her. It was almost like she was trapped in this space in her mind. And that was something she instilled in my sister and I a very long time ago, was we should always be independent. Well, it's really hard to be independent when you're not given that freedom, right? So that was something that always stuck with me. And that was one of those things that, I tried to live to that expectations. I always made sure I was working. I had enough money to support myself. When I had my first apartment, I was good for that, paying my own car, like always doing everything on my own way. So I never had to rely on others. Now, what that did to me, and I'm not saying don't be independent and be able to support yourself, but what that did to me, it made me very, very, very difficult. I struggled with the idea of receiving. And I will say only until recently, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, did I fully become aware that I was struggling with the idea of receiving. Okay. I don't know how many of you struggle with receiving, but I do. And when I say receiving, I'm talking anything. I mean, maybe your friend buys you a beverage and you're like, oh no, you don't have to do that, I'll get it. Or, you get a birthday gift like out of the blue and it's like, oh, you didn't have to do that, I don't want to. Do you know what you're doing when you do that? One, you're denying that gift from the universe. Because yes, the universe went through that person to give you something that you needed. Two, you're making that person feel like crap because they did something on their own out of the goodness of their heart for you. Say thank you. Just say thank you. Just take it and say thank you. And then if you want to do something for them later, go ahead and do it. But don't feel like it's out of selfish necessity. Okay? Just because you're independent doesn't mean you can't receive. You can't let someone do something nice for you, or buy something for you, or open a door for you, or be there for you. You are allowed to do that. So that was something, like I said, that expectation, it still rides with me. And again, I think that has a lot to do with why I struggled with receiving, why I have a lot of sense of scarcity in my life around everything from money to relationships. I'm always looking for that other shoe to drop, and I never have enough. That is something I am strongly working on, which kind of goes hand in hand with my fear of failure, I think. So that's what I'm going to say about that. So think about your parents. That's the first living to others' expectations example I'm going to give you. Now, the next one I want to talk about, living to others' expectations, we'll go a little further down memory lane. So you've been born now. Your parents are raising you. Now you have these things called peers, right? We have friends. Friends. Now, I think of friends now, and I have a different definition than I had years ago, okay? Like, everybody was your friend, right? You went to school, and everybody was your friend. You all hung out together, you did all these things, but were they really? I mean, honestly, how many of you seriously still talk to people that you went to high school with? I honestly think my longest friends, and this might be a toss-up between Jackie and Mel sitting here right now, but I think you two might be my longest friends. And I will say friends because I know I can tell you guys anything, share anything, and there's no judgment. That is what it is. There's no me trying to be something that I'm not with you. I'm not living up to any expectation that you're putting out, right? So there's that. But now when you go back, think about your peers. This is where peer pressure comes from, because you're expected to wear certain things, right? Everybody had to have these amazing sneakers. 2 people from high school. Okay, so that's 2 out of, I don't know how many you graduated with. I graduated with 110 kids, and my class was on the small side. So think about that. That's like 2%, right? So for you, that's probably a lot less than that because you probably had more kids. I love you for you. Exactly. What was I going to say? Peer pressure. That's what I was talking about. See, it's coming back. 600 plus. Okay, so 2 people out of 600. I don't even know. Is that like a 0.5%? That's like nothing. Look at that. Like, honestly. So again, peer pressure was a big thing. Remember, like when you went to high school and you always had to have those like special sneakers, like you go back to school and everybody wanted their Jordans or their Kicks or whatever it was, or you all wore a certain thing. And if you didn't have it, then you were kind of looked down on by the cool kids. unless everybody was a band geek like I was, in which case none of us really cared. And it was just a different environment. But again, that's society's expectations. You're put into these situations where now you're starting to fit in there, right? Or lack of fit in, I should say. So you've got your parents who want you to live up to one expectation. You've got your friends who want you to live up to one expectation. And now let's move on to society. So society tells us, and correct me if I'm wrong, let me know what your thoughts are. But society tells us, again, that we're born, we grow up, we go to school, we're good people, we graduate, we go to college, we pick our major out right away because we all know what we want to do for the next 50 years of our lives before we retire, right? So you go to school for that, and then you get a job right out of college doing exactly what you want. And then you get married, you have a white picket fence, you have a baby and a dog and the station wagon. It's like a whole thing, right? And then you go to work every day, Monday to Friday, day in and day out. And we work and we work and we work. You take the one vacation a year. Things seem amazing. You have a retirement account and a savings, and it's wonderful. And then you retire at 65 when we're mad old. And then you're like, oh, now I can live my life. I can travel the world and I can do all these things. This is like the picture playbook that society has put out there. But I'm finding more and more now that it's not anymore. And I'm honestly wondering if that's the shift between the Piscean age and now we're in the Aquarian age. Because we've gone from this age of building, structure, society, the way things are supposed to be. And we've moved into the Aquarian age, which is all about love. It's all about this fun stuff coming out of my eyes right here. It's about finding ourselves and finding our place in the world and doing the soul searching in the universe and then manifesting and really reaching into that. Now, how off the books of society's expectations is the Aquarian age? I mean, think about it. So for me, like I said, when it came to living to other people's expectations, I tried to be that girl. Yep, like I said, I went to school. I didn't get into trouble when I was younger. I tried to hang out with everybody. I tried to be nice to everybody, but I still never knew my place. And I mean, that a lot of that might have come back to the anxiety and what I was dealing with before I knew I had anxiety. I mean, I went to college. Oops, slowing my roll. I guess it was time for me to probably take a breath. Okay, so Mel says societal expectations are the biggest detriments to independent thinking. Welcome to the Aquarian age. And this is what a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't even know we've made the transition. And this was like 10 years ago that this happened, okay? Well, I mean, depending on whose astrological clock you're looking at. It was November 11th, 2011, I believe. Don't quote me. I think I'm pretty close, though. But like I was saying, it's when you're trying to live as something you're not, that's when we fail. That's when the anxiety happens, and that's when the worry happens, and the stress and the overwhelm. And honestly, I feel like that's what happened to me. Because I was in school, I had this idea that I wanted to be a music teacher. I went to college, and I was like, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. Well, guess what? They put me in a dorm room with this girl that I couldn't stand. And then I got moved, and I was with another person that was just like a party person, and that's, if you know me, that's not me. And then finally got that person out, and I got the girl that I was actually friends with to move in with me, which was better. But then still, I didn't like the way I was learning. I didn't want to be performance-based. I wanted to teach, and there wasn't a lot of that going on when I first started. But maybe if I had stuck it out, it would have been better. I don't know. But I didn't. Okay? And then, like I said, when you quit college, then you're looked at as like a failure because you're supposed to go through and you're supposed to get a job and things are supposed to be better. You know, this isn't like Mike Rowe's world where it's like, hey, go to a trade school and learn how to do this and do that. Like, that was looked down upon. And now people are starting to realize, yes, you can be an HVAC technician. Yes, you can be a mechanic, and you can make a shit ton more than that girl who's trying to go to school to be a teacher. Knock yourself out. Have whatever job that makes you happy. There's nothing that says you have to do it a certain way. And I think that's the biggest thing I have now learned is I am allowed to make my own path. And I never thought that before. Like I said, I went to school. I tried to do the right things. I went to college, and when that didn't work, I was told, get a job. So I went and got a job, which is fine because I learned a lot. I learned how to manage things. I learned leadership skills and people skills and customer service, budgeting skills, money skills. Like, I learned a lot of stuff on the job. It was great. But then society still had this expectation of, well, now you're going to work for the rest of your life in whatever job you've now picked. And then, yes, try and meet a person that you somehow want to match with and spend the rest of your life with. And then bring more of these little people in that we're now going to mold into the same ridiculous expectations that we've had. Where is it my job to do that? Honestly, it's not. And that is something that we all need to let go of. Because again, when you try and live to others' expectations, Honestly, it's going to come back to fear of failure. You're going to fail. Because you will never be 100% good enough for whatever somebody's expectations are, because they're always changing. Okay? You do one thing and you think you've gotten there, and guess what? It's going to shift with whatever's going on in their lives. You are never going to be 100% whatever you need to be for them unless you are yourself. And this goes back to exactly what Jackie says. I love you for you. You need to get in touch with yourself first. You have to fully, completely find that authentic self. And that's something a lot of people aren't doing because they're too busy in the rat race of everyday life so that they can pay their bills, take the family vacation, move on to their new lives, get married and do their thing. And they're not even thinking about themselves. I mean, honestly, bring it back a second. Same deal, like your parents expect you to do certain things and be a certain way. Have you honestly took time to think about what you want? How you feel? What you want to look like? What you want to accomplish? What your wants are? I mean, that's one of the hardest journaling prompts I think I give most people, is if you sat there and this genie came out of a bottle, right? And asked you, you can have every wish you want. You can have anything you want. Do you honestly know what you want? Can you sit there and come back to it and say, this is what I want? Most people struggle with that because, again, you're stuck in this narrow lane of exactly what you're expected to do, exactly who you're expected to be. And when you start asking people what their desires are, what their dreams are, what their hopes are, most people can't answer that because they've been so trained to become someone that they're not. Okay, then I got off on a tangent there. Let me backtrack here. So I started with the parents and living up to their expectations and how that's probably going to bite you in the ass later. We talked about our friends and peer pressure. We moved into college. And yes, I keep making lotus flower hands because I'm like obsessed with this meditation right now. We talked about work. We talked about society. Okay, I think I covered all the bases I wanted to cover. So now I'm going to move into the how to let it go. Okay? So like I said, take it from me as someone who grew up as a band geek and didn't have a lot of friends, as someone who had two parents who were so diversified that living to anybody's expectations was really fucking hard. From the girl who, again, dropped societal standards when I quit college, got a job, thought I was going to marry this guy, and then that didn't happen. And now I'm 31 and I'm still single and no babies. Except for my fur baby, and I love him. I am probably the one person I can now look at myself and say, yeah, I tried and I wanted to have that idea of, that life because that was what you were kind of led to believe. But now I'm happier that I'm living up to my expectations. That's the thing. And that's, if you take away anything from this tonight, it's the only person's expectations you should be living up to are yours. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The only person's expectations you should be living up to are yours. So no matter what that is for you, that is all that matters. Anybody want to give me their thoughts, put their 2 cents out there? Okay, so let's talk about that. How do we stop living to others' expectations and live to ours? So there's the gap. You see that, right? This is other people's expectations, and this is our own expectations. Now we have to close the gap, okay? And the only way to do that is you have to get in tune with yourself. I am correct. I was going to make a joke and be like, I'm always correct. But yeah, no, seriously. But honestly, though, that's what it comes down to. The only person's expectations you should be living up to are yours. Because that's the only way you're going to be happy. That's the only way you're going to have everything that you want. And that's the only way that you are going to enjoy this world to its fullest. And like I said, that's why we're in the Aquarian age right now. This is the time to learn about ourselves, to get in depth, to self-reflect, to absorb that energy from the universe, to really become the person that we're meant to be. Okay? So, like I said, we need to close the gap because, again, you have everybody else's expectations and you have yours. But the one that you're not in tune to is your own. You're so worried about these that you're not worried about yourself. So let's close the gap. So my first big tip, tool, and strategy to getting in tune with yourself is you have to make time for you. Because think about it. Everything that you do that is not something for yourself is something that's accomplishing the expectation of others. Think about that. Like, just think about it for a second. So you want to start making time for you. Because think about it, when you get up every day and that alarm clock goes off, what is the first thing you do? Okay. If it's not getting your coffee and going to sit outside for 5 minutes, let me tell you, then you're trying to do everything for everyone else. You're expected to be mom and have lunches made and breakfast is planned and books ready for school and all these things. Or you're dad. And guess what? You have to get everybody in the car, get everybody to school, get yourself to work so that you can work for the man, and then you can get home, go to bed, and do it all over again. You're trying to be these people because this is what society wants. And I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you not to go to work or be a good mom. But you have to start incorporating time for you so that you can start to see what you want. Because you need time for self-reflection. So like I said, if you can have that coffee in the morning for 5 minutes and just sit and breathe and drink your coffee, you'd be surprised the thoughts that come up. And I'm not talking the to-do list. I'm not talking the dramas from the day before, the traumas you've been holding on to. Take a second. Watch the birds outside. Listen. See the sun come up. Honestly, take a minute for you and notice how that feels. And then ask yourself, how does that feel? Are you happy? Is it stressing you out because now you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I've got 5 minutes to myself and I don't know what to do with this, and am I not doing something I should be doing? Bring it back. Enjoy the 5 minutes, I'm telling you. For those of you, like I said, I was not a big journaler. I hated journaling. Get yourself a journal, okay? And like I said, you could do it as a Dear Diary kind of a journal. You could do it as a, now that I am letting go of living to the expectations of others, I do XYZ. Now that I'm letting go of the living to the expectations of others, I feel XYZ. Now that I'm letting go of living to the expectations of others, I believe, and write it down. And then look at those things, and I want you to see how many of them you're doing right now. And look at how many things you're not, and look at what you can incorporate, and that's how you start to reverse the floodgates. This is how we change our attitudes towards the life we're living. This is when we close the gap, okay? You have to start thinking that way, because our thoughts create our reality. Or as they like to say, our words create our world. When you start letting those things get ahead of you, you stop living for you and you start living for others. And that is not good for anybody. Okay? So like I said, making time for you. And I do not want to hear the excuse, I do not have enough time. It's bullshit. Because look at this one. So today I got my little like screen chart recording thing that says how much time I spend on my phone. If you don't know how to access that, I'm going to tell you it's a very useful tool because it has blown my mind. So if you go into your settings, if you're on an iPhone, if you're on Android, I got nothing, I'm sorry. But if you're on an iPhone, if you go into your settings and you go down like I don't even know, it's not even a third of the way down, like it's on the main screen. Versus screen time, if you click that, it'll tell you how often you're on your phone. It'll break it down by day, by monthly average, and it even breaks it down by what you're doing. So like social media, creativity, productivity. So I'm talking like social media, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Productivity is like your emails and spreadsheets and things like that that you might do on your phone. Creativity, like for me, like I use Canva and I'm making pictures and doing things. It'll break it all down for you, and it'll even break it down by app. So you can get really like ridiculous with this. But the point I was trying to make, did you know that I spend an average of 6 hours on my phone? 6 hours a day. You realize that's a fourth of the day. There's 24 hours in a day. That's 6 hours. That's a fourth of my day. How bananas is that? So when I looked at it, I spend an average of 4 hours on social media a day. Whether that's posting for my business, doing things like this on videos for you guys, coaching in my private Facebook group, the Mindful Movement Tribe, or just mindlessly scrolling through the feed so that I can see what everybody else is doing. So yeah, I can set my bar a little higher and live to the expectations of others. 4 hours. That is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay? Ridiculous. And I realized I have plenty of time for me. So the excuses I make where I'm like, hey, I'm not getting up early enough to do this, or I'm not going to put myself in this position, or I really need to do these things because people expect it of me. What about me? What do I expect of myself? To be burnt out and anxious and worried and overwhelmed and my brain exploding out between my eyeballs? No. So that blew my mind this weekend. And that was just this weekend. So that was like 3 days ago that this happened to me. And I think it's insane. So you know what I did? And it took me 3 days to do it. I'm really proud of myself. But I actually turned my notifications off on my social media. Like my Instagram, my Facebook, I turned them off. Do you know that I've spent less time on social media now because I'm not seeing the little red flags pop up or the little circles or the notifications? And guess who had more time to do things she wanted? Like enjoy her coffee and look at the birds without using the phone at the same time. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is a lot of time for you. So if you think you don't have time, that phone is the first thing. Add that to our letting it go list. Also, look at your to-do list. How many things are you trying to do on your own so that, again, you can live up to the expectations of others when there are others out there who can help you do it? And that comes back to what we talked about the first time, is receiving the help. So, for example, if you have a significant other, ask them to do something. I got news for you, ladies. Big secret here, and I'm sure Mel can probably tell me. Guys like to do things for us. I'm not saying use them, I'm not saying abuse them, I'm not saying overstep your boundaries, but guys like to do things. They like to be kept busy, they like to feel needed, they like to feel wanted. Not that girls don't, but it is a guy thing. And like I said, I'll bet you he'll agree with me. Give your significant other little things to do. Take it off your list. If your kids are old enough, make it a game. Guess what? You just bought more time for you to do that 30-minute meditation class that you haven't had time for at 8 a.m. on Mondays with me. Or tomorrow, it's Tune In Thursdays, basic yoga, 45 minutes. I bet you we can find 45 minutes for you tomorrow at 8 a.m. with me. Okay? Nope, we're not gonna second what I'm saying. Oh boy. Guys are fixers. They want to feel helpful. See, I don't make this shit up. There's a really good book out there called The Keys to the Kingdom, ladies. Read that book if you're having guy problems. Although that is not my expertise, that's Katya's, but give it a read. So yeah, start with making time for you. Like I said, start doing the little things. Or if you're a single fur baby mama like me, now it's down to budgeting your time better. And that's why, like I said, I explored my screen time. I look at the things that are on my to-do list. Are they things I really need to do? Are they now? Or are they things that really I'm just making excuses because I don't want to do the other things, like, how dare you turn my notifications off? I'm telling you, in the last 3 days, I've saved so much time. It was so hard, though. Like, I sat there with the settings, and I'm like, do I turn it off? Do I turn it off? Do I turn it off? And I'm on the phone with my coach, Lauren Ashley, and I'm like, on Voxer, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. It's scaring me. It's freaking me out. Do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? Well, I freaking did it. I'm telling you. It's really scary at first, but you're going to thank me later. You should do it. So yeah, that's the first thing. It's introspection. It's giving you time for you so that you can sit with yourself. And I know that can be scary for a lot of people. People sitting with themselves, I know that's a scary factor. Things might come up, memories might come up, triggers might come up, but this is the stuff we talked about, the letting go. It's getting comfortable with those limiting beliefs. It's reframing them so now you can use them to be the person you want to be. Because again, the only person's expectations you want to live up to are yours. Okay? Not mine, not Mel's, not your imaginary 12,000 followers on Instagram. Yours. Okay? So that's the first thing, self-reflection. That's the big one. We talked making time for you. That was the next big one. I talked about journaling. That is a good one. And like I said, you can journal however you want. It's just kind of refreshing to get it on paper and actually see it. And like I said, ask yourself those questions. And you could start even back from day one. Now that I let go of this fear of failure, I do X, Y, Z. Now that I'm letting go of the constant self-doubt, I feel, lighter, amazing, confident, sexy, strong, you name it. Now that I'm letting go of the fear of living up to the expectations of others, I'm kicking ass. I'm doing the things I want to do. I'm taking care of myself. I'm well rested. Honestly, start putting this stuff out there. You'll be surprised. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on? I think that was all that was on my list. Yeah, I think I'm pretty well covered. I think I feel pretty satisfied with that. But here we go again. I'm looking at it and I'm like, did I say everything I wanted to say? Did I cover all my bases? Did I talk about all the things I wanted to talk about? Because I don't want to let you guys down. I don't want to fail you. I'm worried I'm not doing the right things. But this is what it is. So now I'm sitting here going, no, I did a good job. I know I'm awesome. I educated. I put it out there. I gave you all the stuff. Now it's time for you to use it. Okay? So again, use it for you, not anyone else, not me, not your mom, not your kid. Use it for you. You are the first person to take care of. You're the first person to look at everything that you've got going on. And you are the first person to dig deep and only live to your expectations. That's the first thing I want you to focus on. Okay? Now, does anybody have any questions, anything coming up, anything you've got going on? You've got about another hour or so before anybody that commented on my earlier post today, the one with the 3 cards, if you still want to drop me a number, there's still time. I'm going to send you a personal photo or a video message or whatever I'm in the mood for in a little bit, giving you that and a little kind of one-on-one coaching. So if that's something you want to do, totally check that out. Doors are open. I'm gonna do the salesy thing. Sorry, guys. Doors are open for my householders' path to peace in an amped up world. So think about everything we just talked about, right? All the worries, the anxious thoughts, the rat race, everybody else's expectations, the to-do list, and the dramas, and the traumas, and the resistance, and the tensions, and all these things, right? Did your brain just explode this fast as I just talked? Yeah. Well, that's how you're living your life, and it makes no sense. We all deserve peace in our world. We all deserve to be on this path of calmness and stress relief and not worrying about every little freaking thing that comes up. And that is what my new program is all about. So it's a 6-week program. Like I said, I had to really step back in my own shoes and really look at it and go, if I was me, what would I want? Like, how would I be able to turn into Pam 2.0? And that was the biggest thing. And the way that I built this, when I had built it originally, I had a 1-month and a 3-month option, but it was super vague. I wanted to make it as open and personalized as possible. So I offered the extra coaching, the one-on-one sessions, and the yoga and the meditation. I just didn't like how it was built. And I really felt like I didn't put everything in there that I wanted to, or I didn't structure it as well as I wanted to. And I don't want anybody to freak out on that word structure. It is still super personalizable. Personalizable. I don't know if that's a word. It is now. Guess what? Put it in the dictionary. Personalizable. But I wanted to be able to give you what you need, because most people that are following, most of you have come to me because you're like me, okay? Maybe you have anxiety or depression or racing thoughts, or you don't sleep well, or you want to know more about yourself, or you're trying to learn and understand. And that's what this program does. It gives us a chance to take all of the things we were molded with, right? Our parents and the peer pressure in school and societal standards and all these things that are trying to make us something that we're not, and gives you a chance to discover who you are. So week 1, week 1's the biggest, because that's where we're going to talk about your goals, what you want. We're going to dig into those desires. I'm going to pull them out of you. We're going to do your human design chart so you know how to receive them and start using the universe, as my other coach likes to say, as your sugar daddy. We're going to set it up so it works for you. Week 2 is all about the emotional and the mental. So we're going to come down to the limiting beliefs, whether it's the fear of failure, the constant self-doubt, the living to others' expectations, living up to society, not being enough, not good enough, not having enough, whatever it is for you. We're going to break all that down. I'm going to reframe it with you, and we're going to change it. So this way you start recognizing the good affirmations. Anytime those thoughts pop in your head, you can change it. Okay? Week 3 is the next big one. That's kind of that mental side. And we're going to break into the idea of, I'm going to give you a meditation that you can do to help reprogram your mind. We're going to check in on the accountability tracker. Like I said, this is where the tough love is going to start, okay? And then week 4 is all about boundaries. This is the ability to say no to things without feeling guilty. This is how to deal with those energy-sucking vampires that are in your life. And this is how to start living for you on your terms. We're going to make time for you. I'm going to give you a routine that is consistent, something you can work in. Nice, simple, detailed, nothing crazy that's going to flip your life upside down, but it's going to be enough to give you a shock to your system, okay? Week 5 is the physical. I want to check in. I want to see how you're feeling now that you've been doing some yoga and some meditation. You've been living life for yourself. Are you sleeping better? Are you eating better? Are you setting things out? Like, we're going to do a big physical deep dive. And then the last week is all about the spiritual, because, again, I want you to understand how the universe is there for you, or your higher power, whatever it is for you. And I want you to learn how to tap into that energy and your intuition. And we're also going to talk about how you can keep the momentum going when you're done with me, or if you want to hang out with me for a little longer. And the whole time you're in there, guess what the big bonus is? Besides the daily Voxer support from me, where it's like keeping me in your back pocket so you can message me all the time, you also get full access to the Mindful Movement Tribe while you're in the 6-week program. So essentially you are getting 24 mix and match yoga classes, meditation classes, beginner, intro, Kundalini, Yin yoga. You're getting all the journaling prompts. You're getting this community of like-minded women. So by the time you're done, you're going to make friends with people who are not going to expect you to live to their expectations. They're going to encourage you to live to yours. You're going to have people that are just like you going through what you're going through for additional support. And then, yes, you get to spend lots of time with me. So if you're interested in that, all of the links for that is in my bio. Mindful Movement Tribe link is in my bio. If you just want more tips and tricks and you're really enjoying this, sign up for my weekly newsletter. I give all kinds of fun little tidbits in there, from videos to essential oil of the week and a recipe of the week and workout tips and all kinds of things, whatever kind of comes to my brain. So all that is in there, so check that out. But other than that, does anybody have any questions, anything? If you're hopping on now, I'm really sorry. Go back and catch the beginning of the replay and totally let me know. Like I said, pick a card, let me know. And I will see you guys all tomorrow on day 4, which is the need for letting go of the need for validation from strangers. Do not mix that up with tonight. This is a completely different topic, I promise you. So join me tomorrow, okay? That again is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't be here, if you're catching this on replays, fabulous. Everything will stay up. I am going to leave these up on my Instagram page, so you can always catch them in my IGTV. And they are on my YouTube channel. And okay, so this is my big dream. This is what I want. I want to be able to go live on YouTube. So if you're catching this, do me a favor. Please go on my YouTube channel and subscribe, because until I hit, I think it's like 100 followers, I can't go live. And right now I've only got like 28. So do your girl a solid. Please follow my YouTube so I can go live and do more of this fun stuff. Okay? But otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.